When the Roman Empire ended, nobody killed the last emperor. They gave him a pension. In September of 476, a Germanic officer named Odoacer took the throne of the West from a 16-year-old boy called Romulus Augustulus. He did not execute him, he did not imprison him, he sent him to a villa on the Bay of Naples with an annual allowance of gold and told him to enjoy himself. The boy lived out his life there in comfort. Nobody is certain what year he died. Nobody thought it was worth writing down. That is not how empires fall in the stories we tell. That is how an empire ends when there is nothing left inside it worth fighting over. Because by 476, Rome had not been conquered. Rome had been dead for decades, and the people living in it hadn't finished noticing. This is what actually killed it. 5 decisions made by Romans, each one reasonable at the time.
First, forget the barbarian horde. The tribes that ended the Western Empire were not strangers at the gates. They had been living inside Roman borders for generations. They spoke Latin, they worshipped in Roman churches, many of them wore Roman uniforms, drew Roman pay, and held Roman military rank. By the 5th century, the men defending Rome and the men dismantling it were frequently the same men. Rome was not overrun. Rome hollowed itself out from the center and then handed the keys to whoever was still standing. Here is how it happened. Under Augustus, the silver denarius was almost pure silver. It was the most trusted coin in the ancient world, accepted from Britain to the Persian frontier without question. Then the emperors discovered they could cheat. Every time Rome needed to pay a legion or buy off a rival, the mint shaved a little silver out of the coin and struck a few more. It worked. It kept working. So they did it again and again for 200 years. By the 270s, the coin was a copper slug with a thin wash of silver on the surface that wore off in your hand. Everyone knew. Prices exploded. Merchants refused imperial money outright. In 301, Diocletian tried to fix it by decree, a law fixing the maximum price of over 1,000 goods across the empire, with the death penalty for anyone who charged more. Traders simply stopped selling. Goods vanished from the markets. The law was quietly abandoned. So the state stopped trying to buy things and started taking them instead. Grain, cloth, animals, labor, seized directly from the population. Rome had spent 2 centuries destroying the one thing no empire can function without, the belief that its money means something. The Roman legion was never really about equipment or tactics. Other armies had those. What Rome had was citizens who fought because the state was theirs. By the 4th century, that was gone. Recruitment collapsed. Landowners hid their workers rather than surrender them to the draft. Some men cut off their own thumbs so they could never hold a weapon, and it became so common that the empire had to pass laws about what to do with them. So Rome took the easy path. It paid outsiders to fight instead. Entire Germanic peoples were signed up as foederati, allied units serving under their own chieftains, keeping their own commanders, paid in Roman gold. It was cheaper than raising citizens. It was faster. And it worked, right up until the moment it didn't. Because by the 5th century, the Roman army was no longer Roman in any meaningful sense. The men holding the frontier had no reason to die for an idea they had never been given a share of. And the generals commanding them began to notice something. The throne was standing right there, and the only soldiers guarding it answered to them personally. The empire had grown too large for one man to govern. So in 395, on the death of Theodosius, it was divided permanently between his 2 sons. 2 emperors, 2 treasuries, 2 armies. On paper, administrative housekeeping. In practice, an amputation. And the West got the wrong half of the body. The East kept the money. Egypt, Syria, Anatolia. Dense cities, reliable grain, the trade routes east, and a tax base that actually functioned. The West kept the bill. Thousands of kilometers of open frontier along the Rhine and the Danube, poorer provinces, and a fraction of the revenue needed to hold any of it. And when the West began to burn, the East did not come. It negotiated. It paid tribute. On more than one occasion, it paid enemies in gold specifically to turn around and go west instead. Someone else's problem now. The Eastern Empire would survive another 1,000 years. The West had 80 left.
In 376, tens of thousands of Goths arrived on the north bank of the Danube. They were not invading, they were running. The Huns had destroyed everything behind them, and they asked Rome for asylum. Rome said yes, and then handled it in the worst way imaginable. The Roman officers managing the crossing saw a business opportunity. They controlled the food supply, so they withheld it and sold it back at impossible prices. When the refugees ran out of gold, the officers took what else they had. The Roman historian who recorded it says the price settled at 1 dog for 1 child. A dog to eat, a child sold into slavery. The Goths revolted, and in 378, near Adrianople, the Eastern Emperor Valens marched out to crush them without waiting for the reinforcements that were days away. His army was destroyed. Valens died somewhere on that field, and his body was never identified. Rome lost the core of an entire field army in a single afternoon. Rome had absorbed catastrophes like this before, Cannae, the Teutoburg Forest, and rebuilt every time. Not now. The men were gone, the money to replace them was gone, and the people who had beaten them were now living permanently inside the empire as an armed nation Rome could no longer remove and could no longer ignore.
The last mistake is the one almost nobody talks about. It is also the one that actually finished the West. North Africa was the Western Empire's engine room. Grain, olive oil, and above all, tax revenue. And unlike the Rhine or the Danube, it had never been touched by war. It quietly paid for everything else. In 439, the Vandals took Carthage. In a single stroke, the West lost the province that funded its army. Fewer soldiers meant fewer defended provinces. Fewer provinces meant less revenue. Less revenue meant fewer soldiers still. Rome understood exactly what had happened. In 468, East and West emptied their treasuries into one enormous combined fleet to take Africa back, the last serious military effort the Roman world would ever make. It was destroyed at anchor. The Vandals sent burning ships downwind into the packed Roman fleet, and the expedition was finished before it ever landed. It bankrupted both halves of the empire. After that, there was simply no money left, and everyone with an army knew it.
So when Odoacer took the throne from that 16-year-old boy and sent him off to a villa with a pension, he wasn't conquering Rome. He was tidying up. Rome was not murdered. Rome made 5 choices: wreck the currency, outsource the army, split the empire, brutalize the Goths, and lose Africa. And every one of them closed a door that could not be reopened. That is how empires actually end. Not in one catastrophe, but in a long series of small, sensible decisions made by people solving this year's problem with next century's survival. Which of the 5 do you think was the point of no return? Tell me below. And if you want to see the same pattern run again, the same 5 doors, closing on a superpower that ruled half the planet within living memory, the next one is already waiting.